Hello everybody, my name is VC. I am one of the top players in Gen 7 Doubles OU, and today I'm going to be talking about Generation 9 Doubles OU. This is being recorded on the day that the games came out, and that their data has been added to Pokemon Showdown. I wanted to go over what I think some of the best Pokemon are in the metagame at the moment. Just top to bottom pretty much. So, starting off, Grimmsnarl got Parting Shot in this generation, and I think that combined with the fact that, okay, first of all, let's just hit a basic. Everything in this generation is fast and hits hard and very frail. Like, there is hardly an exception to that out of everything that was added in this generation. Like, look at this. 70, 85, 85 defenses, 103, 82, that's actually kind of slow, but 115, 90 attacks, 55, 70, 70 defenses. This thing's actually kind of bulky. Ceruledge, 75, 80, 100 defenses, 125, 85 speed. Like, everything hits hard and generally not that bulky. So screens are very important for both of those reasons. One, because everything hits hard, and two, because everything is very frail. Grimmsnarl having access to Prankster, Light Screen, and Reflect makes it an excellent, excellent lead in this meta, because, let's be honest, there's really not a lot of screen setters who are going to be outspeeding anything that enters the field, or realistically surviving being doubled up on, so Grimmsnarl at the very least can get one screen off on the first turn. More consistently, it can get 2 screens because it's not that often that you'll see somebody double up into Grimmsnarl and try to take it out turn 1. So anyways, that combined with the Parting Shot buff that lets it, decrease the opponent's attack and special attack and switch out, it makes for a very, very strong Pokemon this generation. Also has access to Fake Out, though I do think that running an actual attack is the optimal choice for the last slot. Up next, Amoonguss is another returning Pokemon that I think will be very, very good in this meta. Rage Powder obviously redirects stuff, what it's been doing since Gen 5, I think, and Spore, putting stuff to sleep. Pollen Puff, I got last generation to heal allies or use as an attacking move, and then you can do Giga Drain or Sludge Bomb for attacking. I think Giga Drain's better because there's a lot of water types in the meta at the moment. I'm on the fence about whether I think that Brute Bonnet is better or worse than Amoonguss. I've been using Amoonguss because it's familiar to me. Amoonguss gets Regenerator, Brute Bonnet does not, but Brute Bonnet gets Synthesis and it gets better defensive stats, especially combined with Photosynthesis. Realistically, I put Mega Berry, but you probably actually want to have booster energy on this, because you're not going to be running this probably in Sun all that much, being a grass type and not, an offensive chlorophyll grass type. So I really don't know between these two, which I think is better. It could be either one long run. I just think Regenerator is very, very useful and might honestly be better than what Brute Bonnet has. It could go either way, though. Clodsire, one of the best new Pokemon introduced, in my opinion. Clodsire is the evolution to Paldean Wooper. It gets access to Unaware, which is really good in this meta because there's a lot of setup sweepers. And then its move pool is just incredible. It's got Recover, Helping Hand, Haze, Body Press, it's got stab moves, it's got Protect, it's got Spikes, it's got, well, Yawn, Yawn. Just very good all around. Its stats, I've not EV'd anything on here because obviously day 1 is way too early to be deciding on optimal EVs. But I think between a Berry and Recover, this thing can be borderline unkillable. Especially when you can't just, bulk up on it or like whatever set up on it and try to blow through it that way. 130 HP, 100 special defense is incredible on its own, and you can easily patch up its low defense. That's why I like to run body press on it, actually, is just put in some defensive investment, don't even worry about your attack stat. This thing is all tank all the way, and fantastic support Pokemon. Chi-Yu, probably the best new offensive Pokemon in my opinion for doubles. Spread attackers are kind of invaluable in doubles. This thing, essentially think of it as Charizard Y, but without... Honestly, it's a lot like Charizard Y from Gen 7. It reduces all other Pokemon special defense stats, which can be mitigated by having up screens, which again, another thing I think is that these first few Pokemon all synergize well together, with the exception of Amoonguss and Brute Bonnet probably shouldn't be on the same team. Just having screens, redirection, kind of unkillable tank, and Chi-Yu, which just hits so hard. It's a choice sweeper that I can feel comfortable locking into Overheat, because Clodsire over here can just helping hand it, and like, there's a lot of Sun in the meta at the moment. Under Sun, like, max special attack, stab, Overheat, especially if you Terrastalize with Beads of Ruin, it's hitting really, really hard, even if you're at -2. Indeedee. Yeah, I think Indeedee's still going to be good. It was good in Generation 8, and terrain isn't what it used to be in this gen with the Tapu's gone. You could argue whether that's a good or bad thing. Personally, I don't like it because that is half the reason why Amoonguss is so good. Sleep is a really, really good in the meta at the moment because there's no terrain setters, really. I mean, there's no Tapu Fini and there's no Tapu Koko is what I mean. But blocking priority is still nice from Indeedee. We'll see a Pokemon that makes that important in a second here. But really just all the same stuff that it did in Gen 8. It's got a great supporting move pool, and you can kind of slap whatever you want on it. Gothitelle. I've not seen a single Gothitelle yet in this meta, but I do still suspect it will be very good. It's the only thing I put on here that I have not seen multiple of. I've not seen it once, but Gothitelle is a very high skill floor Pokemon. Trappers are generally a little bit unintuitive to use in doubles, but they are still strong. Gothitelle is no exception. It's one of the best mons in Gen 7, even if it did take many years for it to rise up to that position. And I suspect it can be one of the best mons in this meta as well, as long as it's able to stave off the incredible power creep. Another thing worth mentioning, I guess kind of elephant in the room, this maybe should have been the first thing I mentioned, Incineroar is gone. There's no Incineroar, and at the moment, there's no Landorus either, because there's no transfer Pokemon yet. But Incineroar is just straight up gone, and there's no guarantee that it'll be coming back. Which I think is not good, personally. I think that's gonna be... It's gonna make power creep a lot worse than it already was. Honestly, part of why Grimmsnarl has risen up to be, in my opinion, the best Pokemon in the meta is because there's no Incineroar, because this massive niche has opened up for support Pokemon. Nothing can do what Incineroar does, but Grimmsnarl can come in and set up screens and parting shot stuff and be annoying in a vaguely similar way to what Incineroar used to do. Now to jump back down here, Palafin. Yeah, this thing's really good. I've O-code grass types with Helping Hand Terrastalized, you know, Punching Glove, Jet Punch. Punching Glove is a great item for this Pokemon. Drain Punch keeps it healthy. Taunt is good to annoy things that might try to set up or put it to sleep, namely Amoonguss. Without Taunt, this thing would fold to Amoonguss. With Taunt, it actually does really well into it, even without running an Ice move. Protect, obviously, is the fourth move choice. The thing with Palafin is that you get these incredible stats only after the first time you switch out. On the team that I have been running, I almost exclusively lead Palafin Grimmsnarl, and then I will switch out Palafin into something else on reaction, usually Clodsire, and have Grimmsnarl set up whatever screen I think is going to be more helpful immediately. So then later on I get instant access to the really powerful Palafin. I don't run max speed on this, just for the record. At the moment, its defenses are pretty decent. Hits very hard. I like to run max attack on it, but that might be something that changes with time. But I think I've been running... What was I running? I was trying to hit 270 benchmark. Can't remember why 270, but I know that's what CB Zygarde runs in Gen 7. So that's what I'm used to as like my fast sweeper benchmark. 252 attack and 120 HP. Makes it pretty bulky, especially behind screens. It can be borderline unkillable on top of also being really fast and hitting very, very hard. Pincurchin. Sure, it's got a whole set, but it's really got one objective. Come on the field, set electric terrain, and then probably just die. Pincurchin is the pinnacle of hyper offense in this generation with Tapu Koko and Tapu Finigon. There's really one thing standing in the way of hyper offense running through everything, and that's sleep, and Pincurchin is here to fix that. So obviously when electric terrain is up, you can't put something to sleep. Zing Zap gets powered up as its main physical stab. I was running Zing Zap because I'm not investing anything into attack or special attack on this. Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Recover can all just be nice to have. It can sit on the field and set stuff up if it's not an immediate threat, which, to be completely transparent, it almost never is. This is also why I give it Terrain Extender, because I really don't plan for it to survive more than a few turns. Torkoal is very popular right now. I'm uncertain at the moment whether I think it'll really stick around. But obviously, you have your new Paradox Pokemon, half of whom get boosts in Electric Terrain, which, again, you have to run Pincurchin for, and to be completely honest, I think those Pokemon might rise in usage with time as people start running Pincurchin. At the moment, I'm the only Pincurchin player that I've seen, but I think it will be very good. Hyper offense in this gen will probably be held together mostly by Pincurchin and Grimmsnarl. But Torkoal, generally speaking, a much better Pokemon than Pincurchin. Excluding the electric terrain niche. So it's more immediately obvious to slap Torkoal and a Scarlet Paradox on the team than it is to slap Pincurchin and a Violet Paradox. In my opinion, the best by far, obviously, Body Press Eruption, Solar Beam, Stealth Rock, Protect if you want, Earth Power, whatever, it's Torkoal. Roaring Moon is the best Paradox Pokemon at the moment, in my opinion. It's got fairly respectable bulk, despite its low defense, just because of its HP. A lot of people are running Booster Pack, is that what it's called? Booster Energy on this thing to get Photosynthesis outside of Sun. I don't think that's going to stick. Because I think that Roaring Moon, it's hard to say how I think it's going to go long term, but I think that Sun will fall out of favor a little bit. Though I don't think that Roaring Moon is going to be really sticking around when it goes, because at the end of the day, it's still not that good. It gets clobbered by, funny enough, Clodsire, like behind a Reflect, you know, this thing can't touch Clodsire. No matter how many dragon dances you set up, it's unaware. Body press will, I believe, 2-hit KO always without investment. But I don't think the calcs are up for this gen yet. Yeah, calc is not up for this gen yet. There is no Scarlet Violet calculator yet, so I'm uncertain, but I'm pretty sure that with no bulk, this always gets 2-hit KO'd by Clodsire Body Press. People might start trying to run a little bit of defense to counteract that. We'll just see. It's a big investment, though, because you really want to be running max or near max speed. There's a lot of fast stuff in this gen. Anyways, I've seen people terrestrialize this into various other types, particularly Steel, to get a surprise attack on a fairy type. And then what I see people do with Booster Energy is drop either Crunch or Protect, probably Crunch, for Acrobatics. Again, I don't really know if that'll stick around, but I could see Terra Flying to resist. You know what? I've actually talked myself into this. Terra Flying Roaring Moon with Booster Energy Acrobatics might stick around, because that will at least not crumple to Clodsire, because it'll resist Body Press. Alright, so now we're jumping into stuff that is more future predictions, because this is Pokemon that are not yet released. Obviously, standard disclaimer, Landorus isn't on here, Landorus will be good. So Pelipper, at the moment, there's not a lot to do with Rain. There's some Swift Swim users, there's a lot of water types, but Rain is just not worth the team slot of putting Pelipper on. I do suspect, Pelipper does Pelipper things, just for the record. I do suspect that that will change when Hisuian Pokemon get released and we get Overquill. I see Overquill as the glue that will hold Gen 9 Rain together. And I suspect that once it is unleashed, Gen 9 Rain will become very, very good. At the moment, there's not a de facto Swift Swim user, but I think potentially, if I was to gamble on it, Golduck could be the one for this gen. I don't think Barraskewda is back. Oh, never mind. Barraskewda is back. Okay, so Barraskewda. Barraskewda will probably be the de facto Rain Sweeper, and then in Gen 7, there's this simple Rain core that goes Pelipper, Mega Swampert, Ludicolo. And you might be thinking, Ludicolo, that's ridiculous. That thing's in, like, PU or whatever in, like, every singles format ever. But it's one of the best Pokemon in Gen 7 Doubles OU, in my opinion. Because it mauls things that are normally, like, hard stops to Rain. Which is Tapu Fini, Tapu Bulu, with its Ice Beam and not being weak to Grass. And I think it also gets Sludge Bomb, but usually I see Ice Beam. And your various other grass types that normally run through Rain teams, Ludicolo isn't weak to that. It's also, granted this doesn't really matter in Gen 7, but it's also not weak to Electric, which, like I said, Swampert Mega does exist, but it's a nice touch for a Rain Sweeper. And it just rips through, like, Gastrodon and all of that kind of stuff. Ludicolo is an important piece of many Rain teams in Gen 7. And mostly you have to have another grass type if you're not going to have Ludicolo, but for Hyper Offense Rain, which is typically how Rain goes in that meta, Ludicolo is the way to go. All that to say, I think Quillfish, or Overquill, will fill the same role. Poison Jab will shred through any grass types that may come in and try to rain on Rain's parade. And just being able to hit hard with 2 stab moves that are not water type while also getting the Swift Swim boost, and it's very incredible. 115 special or 115 attack is very good, and 85 speed is also very good for a Swift Swim user. So I will absolutely expect to see Adamant over Quill, not Timid. You'd never see Timid over Quill. Adamant over Quill, not Jolly. And I think terrestrializing into a water type could also be a potential late game play. Either way, Liquidation will almost certainly be run with the Rain boost helping that out. I threw Black Sludge on here as the item, but we'll see what ends up happening. I could also see it being a choice band sweeper. And last up, Dondozo and Tatsugiri. And you might be wondering, why are these future predictions? They're both in the game right now. It's because they don't work. At least last I checked, there's a bug on Showdown where having Dodonzo and Tatsugiri on the field at the same time, along with some other nondescript circumstance, will cause it to be impossible for you to select a move and then you automatically lose by timeout, which I think is really funny, except when it happens to me. So these... this was like the fastest meta development I've ever seen. I saw quite a lot of Dodonzo and Tatsugiri at when I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning. It's been about 14 hours and I have not seen a single one since I got back online at 6 p.m. So yeah, that's kind of funny to me, but Tatsugiri will honestly be pretty decent on its own. Icy Wind and that special attack stat, wow. Just drop a Draco Meteor or Muddy Water to mess with stuff. It's going to be a little bit of an annoying mon to deal with on its own. And you bring in Dondozo, which on its own, not very good. Respectable physical bulk, but that's really all it's got going for it. But then there's this ability, Commander. If ally is Dondozo, this Pokemon cannot act or be hit, +2 to all of Dondozo's stats. In practice, sadly, its special defense is actually still not very good with some of the insane sweepers that are running around this gen. But I do think that this will end up being a pretty strong mon. I can't say whether I think it'll be worth 2 team slots to have it, but from what I've seen, if you can remove its counters, this could be a fantastic late game sweeper. You just have to be really confident that your other 4 Pokemon can take out all of the counters before these 2 come out. As far as the item, Clear Amulet is what I threw on here. This is going to be a really, really good item for this Pokemon specifically, because you're going to get +2 to every stat, and then nothing's going to be able to take that away. You're not going to get hazed by a meddling Clodsire, even if you aren't necessarily ripping through it. Though, honestly, not +2. Regular Liquidation off of a water type with base 100 attack, that's still going to be hitting it decently hard, even behind a screen. And the funny thing that I see as a little problematic is that the best counter by far to Dondozo and Tatsugiri, let's just theorycraft this for a moment. You need a Pokemon that, ideally resists water, high physical defense, and ideally also the ability Unaware to say, oh, I'm not going to be taking absurd damage from your, +2 boosted attacks. Oh, I wonder what Pokemon meets all those criteria. Right, so Dondozo and Tatsugiri could be very good. I think they will be a late meta Pokemon, or team, I suppose. Because those types of very support-heavy Pokemon, at least in my experience with doubles, they tend to show up early in a meta, an easy counter is quickly identified, they die out completely. Later on, the meta evolves, the player base starts to get really smart at playing around everything in the meta, and people start being able to comfortably reintroduce these very niche sweepers to great results. A peak example of that is Togedemaru in Gen 7 Doubles OU. Togedemaru is the de facto fear attacker. Level 1 Endeavor Quick Attack Togedemaru in Gen 7 Doubles is very annoying and frankly actually very viable. It's not that popular, but it is very good when it's piloted by a good player. It's extremely gimmicky, and it was pretty popular very early on in Gen 7 Doubles OU. Like, very early on. And it died off, and I had not seen it for a very long time. And then lately I've heard some whisperings of this Togedemaru coming back, and Arena Avalon ranked it as, like, the 3rd best Pokemon on their Gen 7 DOU tier list or something like that. So Dondozo and Tatsugiri could be very much a late meta situation. But overall, this is everything that I have big thoughts on at the moment for Gen 9 Doubles OU. I did want to show off. This is the team that I have been using. Amoonguss is on watch to be swapped out for the new one. But at the moment, I'm liking Amoonguss better because it's familiar, and I like having something that I can feel comfortable switching around with, because there's not a whole lot of those types of Pokemon in this gen. But basic stuff, Pincurchin's a late game Pokemon. Well, typically I do Amoonguss early, Pincurchin late, but you could do Amoonguss late, Pincurchin early. Like I said, I lead Palafin, Grimmsnarl almost every match. Switch out Palafin usually to Clodsire. This thing just sits on the field. Grimmsnarl gets up its screens, parting shots out. If they're being annoying or if I need to sleep something, Amoonguss comes in. If they're trying to sleep something, Pincurchin comes in. Neither of those things happen. Take your pick of Palafin Chi-Yu. Chi-Yu is a powerful spread attacker. As I established earlier, just rips through opposing teams, even resists. And Palafin is a single target priority attacker. I want to say, Palafin is easily my favorite, well, no, my favorite, I think Clodsire is actually my favorite to use in this meta, but Palafin's on the rise. I love Palafin because it reminds me of Mega Scizor, and I could go into my Gen 7 Doubles team, talk about how much I love my priority attackers, my Mega Scizor, but like when I saw Palafin and I saw this priority base 60 power move, I mean, I saw Jet Punch on Cerebi, and I was like, I need to find out what Pokemon has this. And then I went and I found Palafin, and I was like, that's interesting. And then I found out about Punching Glove, and I was like, it just all started to come together, you know? So I'm just very excited to see where this thing's meta goes with time, but I can promise you, I'll almost certainly be using Palafin to the very last days of Gen 9 Doubles. Anyways, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to say about this new metagame. I hope that you all are as excited to play it as I am, and I've not even touched my copy of Pokemon Scarlet yet, so I think it's about time that I go and do that. Have a nice day/night, everybody, and hopefully I'll see you all in another video soon. I almost forgot. I have a Discord server. More specifically, Coalition has a Discord server. That is the organization of me and fellow content creators. Jules, a musician, and AA Evers, a fellow YouTuber who's been on a hiatus for a long time. The three of us, plus another friend who does not have any socials at this point, are working together to do content creation, and we would love to have you join our Discord server. So the link for that will be in the description of this video. We hope to see you there.